Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Melee Stats podcast, the final one of 2018. It's me, Edwin Budding.
Hey, give me that wheat.
Me, Ovenn, finally in color.
And me, Aiden Calvin.
So, you guys probably recognize Calvin from previous episodes, but Calvin actually ran a tournament last weekend. So, you guys might have heard of it. It was Don't Park on the Grass 2018. Calvin, how was your week heading up to the event?
It was very busy. There's a lot of preparation to do, as with any tournament. And then in particular, it was busy because since Wednesday of the prior week, and actually up until today, I was housing people, checking them into Airbnbs, and kind of bouncing around with all the people that came from out of town. And then a group of them in particular, as some people might know, is we had a lot of the people start staying in an Airbnb together starting on Tuesday all the way through the rest of the tournament. And in that Airbnb, we ran tournaments from Tuesday evening until Friday evening. So it was really, we wanted to do something that was kind of like what the Tuck House was like for the first Don't Park on the Grass, where we had these local tournaments every week that a bunch of people could participate in, have really cool matchups with all the people that came from all over the world, and just see how that sort of panned out. I wasn't even in the house that much. I didn't have to tee out the tournaments or anything, but I did enjoy watching and seeing what how the results sort of panned out. Yeah,
we can attest, all of us here in Melee Stats, obviously big local watchers, that we loved the parking lot event.
Yeah.
I do have a question about the Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
How many tables were broken?
Just the one. Just the one.
Okay, I know of one. I don't know if it was more.
Oh my god, it was just one. It was so bad because we show up to the house, right? It's this fucking enormous house that's near the airport in Seattle, and this older guy owns the home. He shows us around, and then he leaves. And we've been at the house for maybe 10 minutes, and he had just left a couple minutes before, and we're moving CRTs into the house. And Justin Paper Fairy Mills is carrying one of my big CRTs, and he tripped CRT first into a glass table and just shattered it. So there's glass everywhere across the room, and
oh my God.
So we dealt with that, and we chose not to tell the host until the last day because we didn't want to get kicked out and have all the locals canceled. So we waited until the last day. We paid the host for the table, but that was the only one that was broken. Shoutouts to CRT.
Any other sort of
But the CRT was fine, right?
Yeah.
The CRT was fine. There's a little chip. There's a little chip and the plastic covering, but yeah, it's fine.
So Aiden, do you have any sort of shout outs you want to give after the week of running the event, or any sort of general takeaways or lessons learned from TO?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the main shout outs definitely go to Paper Fairy, who broke the table, and Connor, aka Contra from Oregon, who ran all the locals. Also Sheikh Zula from Oregon, he also helped them out. Because they stayed in the Airbnb, they ran all the locals. Juna was also staying in the Airbnb and streamed from Wednesday until Friday, all the locals as well on our channel. It was really cool. It was nice to have that stream there. The learning point is we've never really done house tournaments like this, and because we were prepping for Don't Park, we got a little distracted on setups, and I think we had a few too many people on Friday, and not enough setups to match the turnout. The tournament ran fine, but it's kind of sucks when a bunch of people come out to play these really good players and then don't have enough setups to play on. But those are definitely the main things. Shout outs to the neighbors that came over on Friday night and yelled at us to shut up. That was also good. And then we're not sure who. We think it might have been Cardano, but it was. Oh, no. But we're not sure who. I get an angry call Monday morning from the Airbnb owner that someone in the house torrented Battlefield 5 on his internet. And he got an email from Comcast, and we had to explain to him that those emails basically don't matter. but we have committed to paying any fines associated with it. Not that there will be, but like whoever the fuck like stayed in the house and torrented Battlefield 5 while we were there, like.
Oh wow.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
Kadana was in the Airbnb then?
He was. He left early Monday morning. He just like someone mentioned that he torrents a lot, so we just kind of figured it was him. It was hard to figure out who it might have been because a lot of people like were gone by the time I arrived on Monday morning, just like for their flights and stuff. But I do think it's really funny that we get to deal with that. And then also this house has because it's a huge house, the house has a strict no parties rule and there's security cameras. The owner hasn't said anything because I don't think any of the noise complaints like actually got to him. But we're really hoping he never checks the cameras because he's going to see like 70 people at his house on the Friday video. So
what if the owner is watching this podcast right now?
Oh, shout out David. If you're in Melee, that's absolutely remarkable. He was definitely like some 70-year-old like Vietnamese dude.
Let's go.
Yeah,
right,
like
sick.
So if he's like, holy shit, if you're in Melee, man, we're sorry. Then you know your house was used for the love of the game. That's what I could say.
Hey, he's like, oh my god, is that Spud? That's Spud in my house?
So, Calvin, all week heading up to this event, and really for the longest time now, you have been the #1 conductor on the Spud train. And I believe you were so confident in Spud in a certain set, 2 certain sets, that you may have put money on it. So explain to me what happened.
Okay, so I think basically what happened is I've wanted Spud to play Keizu for like a long time because I figured it would be like a cool set because like Spud is like really, really good at that matchup. But he's also never played a Peach as like high level as that in a tournament set. We didn't get to see him versus Armada at BAM, unfortunately. I think that would have been a really, really cool set. Although I do think if Armada went Fox, I think Spud would have gotten whooped. But I think if Armada had stuck it out as Peach, I actually think that set would have been really, really close, but we never got to see it. And we only saw like hours of friendlies, which is, Spud 50% of those, which is really good. So seeing him against Keizu, like I think it was Wheat gave me like preliminary like top 16, top 32 seeding, and I was like, yes, Spud is playing Keizu. And then I messaged Wheat after we finished that, and I was like, wait, we forgot face roll. So we added in face roll to the top 16, which changed the seeding, and it ruined all the matchups we had just decided on. So I was like, well, let's just kind of move people around to get some of those sets back, including Spud versus Keizu. Which was like shifting a bunch of people like 1 spot up or 1 spot down to like retain the matchups that we had before. And
a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, like I guess I'm not gonna lie to people about it. Like, but I do think like that set, and I think it was like Ginger Ryan Ford I really wanted to see. And there was another set too. It was Prof Michael, but I don't think that actually.
No, because Prof lost to Okami BW, right?
Yes, I really wanted to see Prof Michael, and then it was just like
both of us did,
which was unfortunate. So, because like Wheat and I went over. I know we were in a call with Connor, and it was like, oh, all these sets are like really fucking cool. Like I can't wait to watch these.
So when did you make money? Is the
yeah. So somebody was tweeting, and like I think it was somebody brought up the SFAT, or no, it was because of like a weird like Smash GG standings thing. Like Fendi tweeted out the 4 best players at DPG, and it's like Michael, Zain, SFAT, and Spud. Just because the way we did floating and like the standings didn't display that very well. And then someone made a comment about like how I think I'd expect Spud to beat SFAT, or I think Spud is like one of the best players. And I was like, yeah, I do think Spud's gonna beat SFAT. Like I'll put 25 on that. And then someone else brought up Keizu. I think it was Heartstrings. And Heartstrings bet $50 on Keizu over Spud. And
Heartstrings has lost a lot of money this year on bets. He bet on Fendi also.
Man, I don't. Sorry, he told me that.
I think that's why he's on the Patron.
I lost $50 on the
He seems to love Melee Stats content, so I'm going to give him an out on this one. That's the only reason that he's not supporting us through Patreon. It's because he keeps making these bets.
Awful bet.
So I mean, like between those two sets, right? It's just to me, I feel like I make like pretty smart bets most of the time when it comes to like side betting on actual match outcomes and not on like random factors. And I was just like, I just like know a lot about like Spud's matchup spread and like what he plays like. And I actually think like if you thought KZ was going to win that set and you know who Spud is, like you just like what you literally wanted to like burn money. Like it just didn't, like in no feasible world did I see like KZ taking that set based off of his performances against like Armada and watching the way he like dominates Quetz, Bladewise, and the other Peaches I've seen him play against. And I mean, like the set played out exactly how I expected. Like game one was the closest one. Spud like barely took it. Like KZ kind of choked it away. And then game two and game three, like sequentially just got worse and worse. And they were both on Dreamland too. So by the time we got to the last Dreamland set, it was just destruction. And then, so like I definitely like thought that was like, an easy bet to make. But then Spud SFAT was a little different because like I do think Zain kind of blows SFAT up, but then like SFAT will do well against like other Marths, like PPU for example. And I wasn't like as confident in that outcome, but considering his performances against like Prof, who I think is like particularly good at that matchup, and the other Foxes he had played earlier in the week, I was like, if Spud keeps playing like that, like I'm pretty sure he's going to beat SFAT. I was a little surprised that it was like a 3-0 though.
Yeah, Spud looked really prepared. He looked like he watched a lot of Zain sets, like just nonstop heading into it, because it was very reminiscent of like the same kind of just dominant punishes. That really like knowing both like his flow chart and knowing all these absurd mix-ups, especially by the corner. Like he really bought. There was one part in the set where he like in the middle when he saw SFAT shield, he just pivot taunted right in front of him. I still don't know whether that was intentional or not, but I like to think it was.
I don't know either. I didn't ask him about it, but I don't know. He was just kind of exposing him by the end. And I don't know, Bridgetown is like a pretty big deal that he just like cleaned that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he
definitely.
Out crouch canceled none. And honestly, I mean, for the
was Bridgetown UCF?
It was, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well.
Yeah. Oh well, so we know why none lost.
It's not that. Yeah, it's not that important then.
So I want to raise one question with Spud. We can sort of talk about where like his eligibility, perhaps we can like that sort of is a whole topic of itself. But I want to ask each of you guys individually, and I guess we can start with Ovenn. Ovenn, in your headspace, like just based on the eye test, where would you put Spud? How good do you think he is after his last 2 weeks?
Last 2 weeks? Is this like for the year-end ranking? Or
No, just in general. Like, where do you put, like, in terms of what you think his skill tier would be if he went to a lot?
I don't know if this is going to be high or low, but I think between 30 and 40.
Okay. That's pretty high.
Okay. Like, I mean...
I thought that was going to be low. What do you think? I mean, Aiden's going to say 10th.
Okay. Okay. I have sense.
Okay. Edwin's a Marth, so he's probably going to say 11th or 12th.
I think he's probably in between the tier of like La Luna, like long term. I think he's probably in the tier of La Luna, or like a little in between La Luna and like Stango. I think is probably where he is. So I would say like probably lower 30s, early 40s if I were to guess.
I think Stango is.
No, I think he's like decently above Stango. Like,
no, where do you think?
Like if he went to more, like Stango got 17th at Genesis.
Ask me where they are, and then you're using these like very nebulous placenames. Like it could be like I think he's somewhere in between Hungrybox and like me.
Oh no, because it's just like the next tier of Marth players.
Okay. And you're right. You only do think in Marths.
Yeah. Fair enough.
If you were to give like a numerical sort of like grouping, what do you think?
Yeah. Sorry, I think I said this before, but like low 30s, high 40s. Like, I think Spud would destroy someone like Spud beat Moki already, and I think he would beat a Slox caliber player also.
I mean, he's beat Moki more than once.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Moki also has beaten him.
Yeah, the record's like 3-1 though, I think.
Yeah, but you know, just kind of shilling for my boy. Follows me on Twitter.
Would you agree with us? Like low 30s, high 40s?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's like a really tough thing to say. Definitely for the end of the year ranking, it's like I don't know if I would go that high. I think generally I'm just kind of a little conservative about people who don't play a lot unless they're Santiago.
Okay.
But yeah, I like if I were to see that in seeding, if I were to see that on the end of the year list, it's not really something that I can argue. So I think somewhere in between, yeah, like 35 to 45 sounds good to me. There's a lot of people who are above him who I think that he could beat. But I need to see him win more. I mean, getting Sheik twice is really hard for him. And I really haven't seen him play too many matchups. So I don't know what his spread is like. Him beating none and taking SFAT or S2J very close is very good for what I look for in a Marth player. So I definitely think if we were to attend more, he would check everything that I'm looking for in an up and comer. But yeah, I'll probably go 35 to 45 just to kind of cool my jets on him a little bit.
And Calvin, I'll let you have the last word on Spud.
Oh, top 10. No.
He said it.
No. I guess like maybe this is surprising considering my like stance of like support for him, but I think I mean I do have to like take a look at like other people's results and stuff, but I was thinking more like between 40 and 60. Because like I think his matchup spread is still really, really weak. I think if he lived in a magical world like where everyone played Marth, I mean, if everyone played Peach and Fox,
that's not a magical world. I'm a Marth player. That's a bad world. If everyone played like, I really don't think there's a Fox or Peach player that like he can't beat right now besides like Leffen. But I think his matchup spread. Is just so weak against some of the other characters you see frequently in bracket, and I wouldn't be surprised if he lost to like Vortex or like I feel like he was pretty composed against Face Roll for the most part, but like he did lose to Glory even if he was like hungover or whatever. And like he lost to like losing to Face Roll, losing to like that's how Kels beat him. Kels didn't go Fox at all. And I think if Kels went Fox, he would have gotten fucked up. But Kels went Sheik and won. Dude, and sorry, go on.
I think like he and like he's just not that good against Puff yet. He's like okay against Ice Climbers if he plays patient enough. Like he beat Face Roll. I mean not Face Roll, Fohibro. And he got like really, really close to beating Chu. Two of the 3 times they played, I would say. So it's just like I think against other characters outside of like Spaceys and like Peach and then sort of Falcon, his matchup spread is just like weak to a point that if he bumps into like okay Sheiks, if he bumps into okay Puffs, I just don't know if he's good enough to like overcome that yet.
What about if he runs into OKP?
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
That'd be a fun one.
That's interesting because I guess that was a play on words, but it's also an interesting set. I don't know if I think he's actually not as bad as I used to think he was at overcoming low tiers. Like seeing him beat like when he came to Emerald City, I didn't think he was gonna beat Fohibro. And I also didn't think he played Nebby for like an hour and a half at my house. And I think Nebby took 2 games, and he has no Yoshi experience. So to his credit, like, I think he adapts and like understands Marth's neutral to a point where, he can overcome a lot of lower level players. But I just like worry about Puff and Sheik the most to a point that I would probably put him between 40 and 50 right now.
All right. Aiden, I'm a big fan of yours, but I'll let it slide when you say low tiers and then directly mention Ice Climbers. In fact, maybe I'm even for it. But when you say Yoshi in the same sentence as low tier, I don't know if I can stand for that.
I guess lower tiers than like the top like 6 characters,
Okay. I still don't know if I want to agree that Yoshi is good.
Yeah. Oh,
Top
okay,
six,
okay.
but,
My mistake.
No, I agree. I think you made a lot of good points. In Australia, and I guess I don't know if he goes to New Zealand to play any tournaments. I don't know if he's there.
He doesn't.
Okay. I know that he busts out the Falcon for Sheik sometimes. Have you seen any of that?
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean that was a one-time thing. He told me when he came here.
That was a one-time thing?
Well, like no, sorry, it was more not a one-time thing. It was like the last time thing, as in he specifically told me before this trip that he had only been playing Marth and avoiding playing secondaries at all because he didn't want to feel the need to switch to anything besides his main on this trip.
That makes sense.
Because he thinks he'll do better in the long run if he does that. So yeah.
I mean, I've definitely seen his Falcon. I've seen VODs of like Puff or Fox vs. Puff. But yeah, that's interesting to hear that he's going to go what I guess sounds contrite to say the Zain route.
Yeah.
The Zain route of going one character.
Also, as a last bit, I noticed someone in chat, Silent Knight, asked if you guys know if an unranked player has ever taken a tournament over that many ranked players before at Bridgetown.
Yeah, I saw that in the chat. I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head, so I was going to avoid it.
Fiction
I want to be put on blast here. Yeah, I think.
Show me your moves earlier this year. Does he count?
Well, he was ranked prior, right?
Yeah,
so,
I guess.
Yeah, but it's sort of similar in the sense
that Zoso won GamerCon this year.
He was ranked prior.
Oh God! Are we gonna count like? Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's like technically Spud would have been top 100 if he had attended more. I think. Like I think that last year or the year before that, if he were constantly attending tournaments, I think that he probably could have been top 100.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of a cop-out answer to say that, like, well, the question's wrong, not me who can't think of an answer.
That's fair.
I probably would say that this is the first like thing that comes to mind of someone of doing that, beating a top 20 player, and then whatever you want to count Prof as.
And I mean, if you want to hear us talk more about it, you can check out the last week episode where we talk about Spud's victory. But if we're going to talk about tournament winners, I feel like as fun as it is to talk about Spud, we should probably talk about what a good tournament and end of 2018 this was for S2J, who has really
what a great end of the year where he lost to Fiction last week.
Well, he won this.
He did.
I mean, I don't know. S2J is just always kind of hard outside top 10, and I mentioned this earlier in the week, just sort of him versus Axe, and I just want to hear your all your thoughts on it. So is this becoming, at what point does his attendance kind of start to take priority over what we perceive Axe's skill to be? Peak.
I would say at the point that he stops getting good wins. He's still getting like good wins at the events he does attend. So
who do you mean when you refer to he? Are you referring to Axe or S2J?
Axe.
Okay.
Like I thought that was what the question was. Like, when do we?
I was just confirming.
Yeah. What's Axe's attendance has definitely been spot. I'm just gonna look this up.
Yeah, it's definitely been something where he's taken a couple different like kind of short hiatuses, which I feel like is something we've seen from him before, maybe just not like at this level this year. So it is interesting to think about. Like, he's not going to as many regionals as maybe we think that we would see from him. He's more just like sticking out for majors.
I think it's mostly just been since the summer. But if that definitely continues.
Didn't he have a little period like pre-summer where he wasn't going to a ton of majors, or am I making that up? Like, I think between Gommel and was it CEO? I guess that's not. I guess that's like 2 weeks. Was it It might have been post CEO and then Evo. I might be making something up.
I mean, during the summer, he also had that really awful Evo where he lost to Cobalt and Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the Evo where I walked up to Nintendo at a party and I said, "Hey, you should have went Ices. Like you're making this hard for, or no, you should have went Marth. We seeded you to go Marth." He said, "That's a really bad matchup. Why'd I do that?" I was like, "Okay." Cool. I was like stuck in that thing where I keep trying to make it a joke. Like, okay, well, this started as a joke. I can't let it die here, so I got to make it more obvious. And he just didn't respond. Like, he just didn't know it was a joke. So I was like,
Oh my god.
Marth versus Pikachu? What are you talking about? I'm sure it's fine. Like, it's just, I sounded more and more
You
like
dug
this
yourself
just
deeper.
idiot.
Oh my god, I forgot about the 5th at Esports Arizona. He got mollywopped by Army there, and even lost to Meds. Wow.
I think like I guess like he hasn't attended enough to like lose the number 10 spot because he still has like those good wins. And like, like even if we go as far back as April, right? Him beating Leffen, like him taking a Leffen set. Who else is doing that? Like not very many people.
He also has the wins on Mewtwo King, which I think carry him in the eyes of a lot of people. But I don't know. I think that there's a specific prompt that's usually given. That's like if a player on this list is to attend 100 tournaments or attend X amount of tournaments, how do they perform on average? And the thing and I feel like this sort of gets a little slept on, but like first you have to know that they actually attend all those tournaments, right? So like if they're not, in my mind at least, I feel like if you go to more tournaments, like attendance shouldn't be counted against you. You know what I mean? Like we don't know if Axe goes to more tournaments, we don't know if he's just gonna lose to like Nintendo or Army or Bananas or Cobalt or Meds.
Yes, we do. He will.
Because
it's literally guaranteed.
Because when we
Army's guaranteed.
Because when we see SJ attend those tournaments, like every now and then he'll have a loss to Michael or a Michael type player. But like we know for the most part what we're getting with him. I don't know.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that one.
It's hard to say for sure.
I think Axe definitely benefits from the players who he's had some bad losses to, like having really great wins as well themselves. Him just getting like destroyed by any ices is very it's a not good thing for him. But Bananas and our Army have been doing very well this year, which might be some circular logic because they have really good wins in Axe. But I think that is helpful for him, that his bad wins don't look that bad.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Oh yeah, I forgot Axe lost to Ginger as well.
That's true.
I don't want to bring that up.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to talk? It's kind of funny because Zain is the first seed at this event, and like the perception of Zain a few months ago was that like, he's knocking on the door of the top 6. Like he might even be better than Mango, but he just got third at this tournament, and none of us are really making a big deal out of it, which I think is kind of funny.
I think he's just he's at that level where he's perfectly capable of taking sets off the bottom portion. Or I think he's capable of taking sets off of everyone in like the top 5.
Damn, I like where you're going with their bottom portion.
Yeah,
but no,
H-Box being the bottom portion. Hey, I really think you're on board with this.
It's just like I would expect him to have, like, if he played all of those people like 20 times, I would expect him to have a losing record against all of them at the end of it.
Yeah, that seems fair. But also, and I'll let you get back to this point. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. But also, I could see him taking sets off anyone. I don't think there's a person that I don't think he has a realistic chance of beating. And I cannot say that a lot of people.
If Armada was playing, do you think he could beat Armada right now?
Yeah, I think he could. Yeah. I'm probably not as big of a believer in Zain beating Armada as some people are or were, I guess. People are like, oh, it's got to happen this year. And Armada's just one of those players who, with the exception of Swedish, I guess, there's just all these people who are like, oh, well, they got to beat him. Of course they're going to beat him. And it's just like Armada is a different beast. So I would probably say that 20 sets against each of the gods, he probably would have the worst record against Armada, if I were to take a guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I definitely think he could beat him. And that's not a lot of people who I could say that about. So go on.
I
with
think
the
it's
rest of your point.
possible. It's just like the way you're struggling with. He's struggling with like Lod, for example, or like he doesn't dominate Lod.
Yeah, Lod took some sets at the beginning of the year, but I believe that
Yeah,
it's
I think
been
kind of-
solidly.
Haven't they
Zain.
all? They've all gone in his favor, like in the latter half. But I
think
mean,
ever
have
since
any of them been like
Pound
3 hour
Underground.
3-1?
It was like, yeah, he kind of gave him the hands at Pound. After
Yeah.
Summit, it's been a little like Lod used to have the advantage, but following the Zain Summit level up, sort of turned the corner.
Okay, that's fair then. Yeah, I just did think like Zain is in my mind. There's like he's in that 7th to 8th position if you count Armada. And I mean he's not bad. Like he deserved the 1 seed at this event, but I think he's just more likely to slip up and lose to players like S2J, like Swedish.
I think in particular, like the S2J, Wizzy, Axe, and I'm willing to bet Amsa, like those 4 players around his skill level, like that's gonna give Zain a really hard time because they're all gonna be like seeded somewhere from like 6th to 9th at these tournaments. And like when you get to top 16 or things like that, like you're more likely to run into each other. So like Zain's gonna I think he's gonna have a tough time if he's like I almost think if he was given a lower seed and expected to face off against like H-Box early, that might benefit him more than if he runs into Axe or Amsa. Those are really tough draws. And also just a final note on Zain, I guess, is that this is more out of game, but I also think it's very different when you're the guy with the target on your back, right? Like it's like you can catch the top seeds by surprise, and it's all fun and games and you're the underdog. But like when you're the number 1 seed and everyone is gunning for you, people are gonna study you. They're gonna study your character, how you work. They're gonna know like everything about you. And Andy's brought this point up on the podcast before, but like if you take for example, even a few months ago, like if you swap Mango and Zain's results, like if Zain ever got 3rd out of tournament, losing to S2J or Swedish Delight and Duck or S2J and Swedish, like people would be losing their minds, you know, like. And I think it goes to show that even between number 6 and number 7, or I guess 5 and 6 now, but like even the differences between like people who are borderline top six or not, like even that is so big, you know, just in terms of what your expectations are.
Definitely want to say we were on some shit when we put Mango at 6th on the latest version of the MSPR. We really knew what we were doing.
Yeah, we're so good, dude. Anyways,
talk about that.
Anyways, I think that just about does it for the event. Unless you guys want to quickly talk about Michael Bananas.
No. What? No. Come on, man. Don't do us like that. Yeah, there's so many European players who came out here. They're looking to make their breakout.
It needs to
you
die.
just want to talk about that?
It needs to die. I hate wobbling so much, dude. That would not have happened without wobbling. That's all I'm saying. I just need to get that out there.
Man, you being on the anti-wobbling train it's quite the like villain arc or maybe hero arc. I don't know.
I walked over into the venue like while that set was happening. Like I came into it in like the middle of it, right as the second game that had timed out to 8 minutes like happened.
It was game 2, right as the first move was made.
Yeah, it was like game 1 like happened, and then
first
Michael
time any
won.
percent was taken.
And then game two, no one did anything for 8 minutes, and then we came into it, and it's like the 3-minute 1-stock rematch, right? And halfway into that, Connor told them that like if you both end this like rematch game at 0%, we'll DQ both of you. And then at around like 45 seconds, I think Michael hopped over to like hit him, and he did. So, and he won the game and then won the set. So I don't know. It was like really funny, but we were joking about how do we handle this? Like, is this like this is like a new Rock Croc Pink Shinobi. Like we need to make a new rule based on this set.
Yeah, we need to make a new rule. Hold on.
You know what?
If only there was a way we could avoid incentivizing.
I think I've got one.
Okay,
just take both characters out of the game. It's obvious that neither character really deserves to be there. They've put us through some shit before, and we kind of look the other way. But like, this just keeps happening. So
I think we just need to do the Rock Pink Shinobi thing, and we ban FD.
No.
Edwin's like, no.
It was just like it was so ridiculous what was happening. Like how are we supposed to handle that
happening?
There's no precedent for that.
Yeah.
So.
The 17-year-old game, I've never seen an 11-minute game.
Like we have to start talking to Smash 4 players. That is nuts. It is good that TOs know like one thing not to stream.
Don't tell me you considered putting that on stream.
No, we did not. But is that some shots at Vino Okami?
No.
Okay, because I
didn't see that. So if I did, maybe I would.
Before we put that set on stream, so Connor was deciding to put that on stream or not, and Connor asked me at the TO desk. He's like, "All right, how long do you think Okami versus Vino is going to take?" And I was like, "I think it'll be less than 30 minutes." And then we proceeded to put it on. And it went so long. And this is right after at Bridgetown, because this wasn't streamed. People didn't really know, but Aura versus Vino at Bridgetown was a 35-minute. So, yeah,
dude, it went like last stock too. They like battled right down to the wire too. That was the fun part.
It was really Vino had like a really, I don't know if we're going to discuss anything else about the event.
We're probably going to end it here to move on to the speed round, but quickly.
So this is the last point we're talking about your event.
Yeah, I think just to end, like I think that a few people had some really interesting runs, and I think Vino was actually one of them. In particular, like I think his run, because he lost in pools to Polo, who's a formerly ranked Falcon from BC. And he's lost to Polo before, so that wasn't like super surprising. But then he came like all the way back and beat a bunch of people. And I think his run like started with Quaff, which was surprising because Quaff is up 3-0, I think, lifetime on Vino. And like 2 of those sets are from like I think this year. And then he beat like Nebi, Okami, and who did he beat in top 32? He beat one more person.
Nebi.
But
Nebi DQ'd against it, or forfeited, didn't he?
Well, I think Nebi
one game, right?
Forfeited like partway through the set.
Okay.
So, yeah, but Vino beat like a lot of people to get 17th at this tournament, and I was like super impressed by that. And this is probably the first tournament that I've seen Vino take like super seriously in terms of preparation a long time, because he's been like relatively inactive. Mm-hmm. And I was happy for him that he like did that well, even if it was by not the most exciting.
The first set he actually had in top 96 was against Amrak, and it went 3-2.
Yeah, he almost lost to Amrak. So yeah, we can move on.
Yeah, sounds good. We're gonna move on to the melee stat speed round. You guys already know what it is. I'm gonna ask a bunch of questions. The panel's gonna answer them.
Who's asking the questions? Is it you this time?
It is me this time, and
interesting. Last time you asked a question, you said that I answered fiction when I said Wizrobe.
We all make mistakes, man.
We're not going to have like some sort of Georgia election type thing going on here, are we?
No, this is a fair election. None of it is rigged ahead of time. Just 5 questions. I'll be listening closely.
Wait, I see something on the screen. It says congrats to Aiden for winning. Wait. I think you went too many screens ahead.
All right, go on. I'll start off with the first question. What is the most memorable melee set of 2018? Go.
I would probably say Michael Bananas. I think every other set you get
Which
kind
one?
of the one that just happened.
Okay.
Every other set, there's so many moves happening. We know that melee is a high APM game, so it's like shine, drill, all these other things. But with Michael Bananas, you don't have to worry about these moves like taking over and like ruining your brain like that. You can just kind of see it and you remember every move that happened because there's not that many. And for that reason, I think that's most memorable.
All right. Calvin?
Probably Zain versus Rishi for me. I really enjoyed that set. It's a set I've gone back and like watched the VOD of like multiple times. I like just being there in person to see. I remember like during the last game, it was in the corner of the big house venue where there weren't as many people sitting and watching. And like as people realized what was happening, you literally saw like crowds of people like running over to like catch the last bit of that set. And I just think the outcome and like how close Rishi was to winning it, and like the Marthido played at that high of a level, especially when you don't have to be one of the people participating in it, is it's really exciting. So right, I think that's mine.
Ovenn, conclude it.
I'm gonna say 1 second. I'm gonna say that I will go with Armada Muji King Grand Finals for Super Smash Con. Because it was Armada's last singles performance. It was like a crazy back and forth set between Muji King and Armada, and it's just like it was just like a perfect like ending for Armada's. Even though we didn't know it at the time, I think it worked really well to that end.
All right, Ovenn gets the point. What's a bigger upset? Flipsy over Mango or Lovage over Leffen? Ovenn, you start.
Lovage over Leffen, I would say, because there like Flipsy had been he doesn't have like terrible losses and like didn't look completely washed before that. He was still like not that good of a player. Well, he was a good player, but like not in the realm of beating Mango. And then, but like, if you look at Lovage's performances in the months leading up to GTX, it was just like he was just like not there, and then he was there and it was really crazy.
All right, Wheat.
There's like a 0% chance if you think that I'm really going to say that Ice Climbers beating anyone is an upset. I don't even know if Flipsy beating Mango is an upset. So for that reason, I'd go the only other option, which is Leffen Lovage.
All right, Aiden.
I mean, it's Lovage Leffen, yeah. That's what Leffen is just like so proficient at that matchup, and Flipsy. I think Flipsy is like, unless I don't know, with the wobbling caveat, I think Flipsy's a really good player and he's #1 in like a decently stacked area. And it's Mango against Ices. Like it just, it's not as surprising as like, oh my god, Lovage just beat Leffen.
All right, Wheat wins. Does Melee break 2,000 entrants at a national in 2019? Aiden, you start.
No. I think it can. I think we can like set Melee up to do that still. And I don't think we've seen the last like 2,000 plus Melee tournament. But I don't think 2019 will give us that tournament. But I think it's a good opportunity. It'll be a good year to work back up.
Wheat?
I'm probably going to say no, unless we are a side event at one of those Brawlhalla tournaments that you see on Smash GG. That like somehow they have like $100,000 prize pool and have like 2,000-3,000 people entering. Have you ever seen those?
Fun fact: Brawlhalla before the release of Ultimate, Brawlhalla is actually the largest and like most active in terms of player base, like competitive platform fighter.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like you see these things, it feels like you're getting gaslighted. It's so weird, but I would say that at this current stage, unless Ultimate really draws in a lot of people, which I think it will to Ultimate, I don't know if we need more time for that to come over to Melee. I just really don't know if I see any major that has 2,000 people, especially considering there's so many different majors during the year where I don't think people view Genesis or Evo as like must attends as they may have been in years past.
Okay, Ovenn?
I'm going to say yes, barely at Evo.
2001.
Evo 2001. What?
No, 2001 entrants.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Evo 2001.
That was a tournament, so I was like, "What are you talking about?"
If Melee was an Evo 2001,
I don't even want to know the rule set, dude.
well, it'd be like beta, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't
beta of the game.
And it's all gonna because of the economic principle of trickle down economics.
What the hell? What's going on?
Dude, what the hell?
What did I get into? This is my first episode of the Oven. Other than the minisode.
All right. I almost gave it to Oven there, but just the suddenly Ray coming back. I'm gonna give it to We here again.
Nice.
In 2018, Zain won 9 sets in a row or something against SFAT. So, which rising player of 2018 will follow in Zain's steed in 2019 to beat SFAT 9 times in a row? Or however many times in a row. Oven, you start.
I gotta go fiction. I just think. Okay, wait, no, I'm not gonna say fiction because he's gonna like decide that he's not gonna want to play anymore 8 sets in.
No, he's gonna try.
No, that was my answer. Is that he's gonna beat him 1 set, 3-2 with Fox, and then 3-0 him for another 8 straight sets as Peach.
Okay, Oven.
Rising players. I don't want to steal Aiden's pick. I'm trying to think of a rising player.
Yeah, you think more about trickling, not rising. So this is really hard for you.
I'm not gonna pick Spud if that's who you want to say.
Oh, okay.
So.
No, I was memeing a little bit about that, but I think Kalamazoo's gonna do it. I think Kalamazoo.
Really?
Wow. All right. Bold. I like it. How come?
Because he's beaten us in the past, and they're somewhat close together. And I think if the Mango series continues, Kalamazoo's gonna continue being semi-sober SFAT for the rest of the time.
All right, Aiden, your final answer.
I think it'll be Rocky. I think if they can keep meeting in bracket, I think Rocky just has SFAT's number, and I think in like relevant, like recent times, it's like 3-0, and I think like Rocky's just incredibly good at that matchup, and clearly it's not going well so far. So.
I'm surprised no one said like absent page or something.
I was gonna say absent page because I was just thinking of Twitter. So I thought of fiction and absent page.
Yeah, no.
Wow, that's how you think of rising players is their Twitters.
Yeah, well,
that's a good. I like that. That's all I need to hear. I think we got the point for this.
Oh, let's go.
I was trying to choose between that and Kalamazoo. Okay, so we'd already won, but we'll end it with the final question. What is more likely, Leffen winning Smash Ultimate at EVO 2019, or Hungrybox on commentary for EVO 2019? And Aiden, you start.
I think it's probably Leffen winning Ultimate at 2019 because like there's just so many established Ultimate commentary top figures, and I think HBox will probably be a pretty good commentator at the game, and I wouldn't be surprised if he starts to do a lot of bigger events. But commentary spots are usually held down by like pretty long-standing people. Like, when's the last time you saw someone like new commentate Street Fighter? Really, except maybe I think someone new showed up this year. But like it's been the same people for a long time. And Leffen is very good at getting good at games, and I have a lot of faith in him in the new game to be a relevant player.
All right, Oven?
I'm going to say Hungrybox will get the slot for top 8 because even if Leffen gets like far in Ultimate, he'll either drop out for Melee. I still think he will because like unless he doesn't get top 8 in Melee, which I think is very unlikely. Well, I don't want to say that very unlikely. I think it's unlikely. And Hungrybox, he loves that attention. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go too deep into this.
Wait, so what is your answer?
My answer is Hungrybox is more likely to be on
okay.
top 8 commentary than Leffen.
And Wheat, take it away. What's your final word?
I think it's HBox. And I don't want to say that it's likely that HBox is going to commentate top 8, but I do want to say that I don't think it's unlikely that someone like D1 could be locked inside a broom closet. I don't think it's unlikely that Kaitaro might get food poisoning. And I don't think it's unlikely that any of the other big Smash 4 commentators may not find their way to commentary if HBox has a chance.
Are you saying that Captain Crunch is going to send assassins or get mobsters after, or the H-fam after those people?
Yeah, any theory that doesn't implicate me in it, that's for sure. Yeah.
I was gonna say that you saying that Kaitaro could even possibly be a top 8 commentator at EVO is a little weird.
Well, yeah,
but Kaitaro managed to squeeze his way in as a major figure of the Melee documentary, so I guess anything's possible, right?
Kaitaro apparently unstoppable in Marth Dittos.
Have you ever seen?
Yeah, it's just you two can get Kaitaro in Marth Dittos? That's crazy.
You ever seen a cartoon where they show a really dumb character and they show inside his brain? That's how I felt when I said D1, and I could not literally think of any other person who would commentate.
TJ Breezy.
Or EE. Yeah.
All right. Aiden, I think for bringing up the Smash documentary, Kaitaro's...
Wait, that wasn't Blair's answer. That was part of my answer. He was
legendary role. I'll give Calvin the point, but Wheat already has the... But Wheat already had the advantage in points. So congratulations, Wheat, on being the final 2018 Melee Stats Speed Round winner. Take it away. You got your minute. What do you want to say to the people?
I just want to say that the 2018 MPGR for, I guess, MSPR for Speed Round, people, is coming out soon. Don't forget to vote Wheat #1 on the ballot. Ambi might trick you with saying that he won that one 5-0 once, but come on, I've clearly got the numbers here. And that's pretty much it, I guess.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Fighters, the finale for the finale for that's coming right before a week before Genesis. I don't know if we should be on before then, right?
Hopefully.
I don't know what our schedule is. Just watch it. It should be cool. It should be fun.
So I guess that kind of gives us 10 or 15 minutes to talk about the 2018 as a year of a whole. So what do you guys want? This is kind of more open-ended. So I guess I'll start off by asking you guys, what were your favorite majors to watch this year?
Who's starting off?
Oh, yeah, I was kind of waiting for anyone to, but I guess we'll start with Wheat.
What? This isn't speed round.
I don't know. I picked someone.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of majors have been fun to watch. You just specifically watching, correct, from a viewer standpoint?
Mm-hmm.
I think until Armada decided that he was done with Melee, it was really interesting to watch who would win. Which I don't know if Melee has been like that in the past few years. We would probably say Armada's really big down to start in 2015. And although there's been a lot of tournaments where, the lower seeds won, or we didn't even know who was going to win, Big House 6 into that Smash Summit was kind of interesting because we didn't know if Mango was really going to be able to continue that run. But for the most part, we're kind of kidding ourselves if we think it's anyone but Armada or HBox. So this year was kind of really cool, because you had Armada who just would counter HBox really hard, but had one of the worst years against the other top players in recent history. Leffen was really looking good. About some of the best he's looked of all time. I think, if you want to talk about that 2015 run he had in the summer, like also really good. And he was just whoopee Armada. So I definitely think it's really interesting. And then HBox is coming out here, losing to like a lot of people who we didn't think he'd lose to. Zain, Amsa, Duck. It's just like been a really interesting year to watch top level Melee, which I don't know if as much as I love Melee, I don't know if I could have said that in 2017 or 2016 or something.
In terms of results, yeah, I see what you're saying.
But I didn't answer the question because I didn't say one particular tournament. Is that what you're going to say?
No. I actually forgot what I asked you.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But that's okay.
Genesis, I guess, if I had to pick one. I don't know. Genesis was fun.
Man, so it's just like downhill from there. We started off with Genesis and then just.
I mean, I watched it with Ambi. We drank a bunch of Yingling. What more can you ask for?
Actually, I don't think there's anything more you could ask for.
Actually, let's just end the podcast. I don't think Melee can ever.
I'm coming to Pennsylvania right now.
Yeah, I'll get a case.
Did you say it was like what was the most exciting tournament to watch?
Yeah.
I think it was probably.
He said major, but you can go with.
Oh yeah, I guess like it would be majors that come to mind.
Just say one of
your own. You had to pick the major of the year. So.
Yeah, I guess it would likely be either like Genesis or SmashCon for me. Because like I think Genesis was probably the best like overall tournament. I think SmashCon had a better grand finals.
Yeah.
But Evo, I mean, Genesis. Genesis this year was like particularly cool and special just because like, Plup just like pulled it together. I think there was just this, I remember it was during that first set of grants that like people started to feel that sinking feeling almost like, oh, HBox is gonna like keep the streak going. It was the same sinking feeling I started to feel when like Armada had won a ton of majors in a row and he was just winning over and over. Like I don't have any qualms with HBox winning. I have qualms with like it's not as exciting to watch the same person just like take over the scene. Yeah, even though I think that dominance is like extraordinary and really cool in itself when you reflect on how long it lasts. But from a spectator point of view, like it's not as exciting. So I was just like, oh shit, like here we are again, like it's happening. Like Hungrybox is gonna win the tournament. This looks so bad. And then I think because of that first set, it meant so much more when he hit that up throw up air and like won the tournament. Because I remember standing in the crowd, like I ran over and I hugged Eric and Carter from Endgame. Like I literally went over there and we were like hugging and chanting Plup's name. And then we were like leaving the venue and like everybody was just popping off about it. And that whole like top 8 leading up to it was super exciting too. So I think it's definitely Genesis this year.
Cool. Ovenn, what's your pick?
I have to say Genesis. Like,
yeah, all of you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else I could say. I think if I had actually
say Shine, Smash.
I didn't watch Shine live. I was at a tournament.
Any other tournaments that Martz won, Edwin?
You saw what I was.
I see what you're getting at.
I mean, to me, like Shine just it lacked the meaning. Like, not to discredit Zain, but like because it was really really cool. I was watching. I was up at like super late in Iceland watching Zain beat Hungrybox in the middle of. I was literally in a farmhouse in Iceland watching that set, and I was super excited. I was trying not to pop off because the two people I was with were asleep, and so super super cool. But it kind of loses a little bit of the magic when you think about that tournament. Like, he didn't have to overcome as much to take that. Whereas like Genesis and Plup truly overcame everyone to do it. And it like I think when Plup won that tournament, it really meant something for like, Melee overall. Whereas like I don't know if I feel the same way about Zain taking shots. Yeah. I also want to add that I guarantee that the best tournament to watch this year in person was Air. Just saying.
We don't pronounce it that way on this show.
Okay, so shocker. I think my pick would have been Smash Summit 6 or just because the sort of implication of Mute King winning it. I think even outside of him and my Marth bias, there were a lot of just really incredible sets at Smash Summit 6 and a lot of cool storylines within the top 8. So there was Hungrybox's Mega Losers Run. There was, before that, there were all the pools results, which I thought were crazy. There was a certain point in the tournament, I think, when Armada beat HBox, where I had no clue who was going to win. And it really felt like any of them could have done it. And that was
I think that happened, and everyone was like, "Is Armada just going to win this?"
Yeah, like we sort of had that feeling, but it wasn't a sinking feeling. It never felt inevitable that Armada was going to win. It actually felt as open ended as ever before.
Yeah, that was absolutely one of the best tournaments of the year, I would say.
Yeah, because it was also like Amslet beating HBox in pools. It was Mango's Falco looking like it suddenly could win a big tournament. Yeah, I think that would be my pick, even if because the thing is, you have to think of the amount of ways that it could have ended. Also, with other tournaments, like I'll use the Big House 7 for instance. That tournament, like, technically had a really exciting top 8, but the Big House 7, people just remember it. It's like really depressing ending.
Yeah.
The thing with Smash Summit 6 is like I sort of said this before, but there was a point in the tournament where if anyone had won, it would have been incredible. So let's say Zain won Smash Summit 6, then it would have been like the first of like the new generation to win a major tournament and like at his first summit ever. If Mute King won, which he did, it would have been groundbreaking for his own his own legacy. If Hungrybox won, it would have been through, like, as much as I don't like seeing the same person win all the time, like, it would have been through, like, pretty much what would have been the best losers run ever, right? Like, and then if Armada won, it would have been equally impressive. It would have been just as impressive coming out of top 8. There's just a lot to look at in that tournament. That's why it would be my pick.
Definitely a good choice.
I think we really lucked out this year. Where if you look at the biggest tournaments, almost all of them were super interesting. I know I'm seeing people in chat who are saying, "Oh, it should be Evo, it should be Shine." Like, if you look at the biggest ones, Genesis was amazing. Evo, I think, was super cool. You had Leffen winning his first Evo. You had Armada, who we didn't know if he was going to make the biggest losers run of all time. It was so crazy. That was amazing. Big House, bleh, I don't want to talk about it. Smash Summit 6, we already talked about, was great. Smash Summit 7, we'll move on. SmashCon.
I'm noticing a common theme with these tournaments.
SmashCon was huge. That was such a cool tournament. Like, just the really, really big ones. Shine. Like, of all the really, really big ones, almost all of them were super cool. And if you go back to last year, the biggest tournaments you have, Armada wins, Genesis, and I love Armada. That was a super boring way to win. He wins Evo. People don't even remember that he won Evo. He just did it so quietly on Saturday night. He just kind of whooped everyone.
I was in Cincinnati when he won. I was watching it on my phone, and I was like, "Oh, cool, Armada won."
I remember that more than I remember Armada winning. Big House, you already talked about that. Like, the biggest tournaments of last year, I think just don't think.
I think Big House 7 might be the most memorable tournament of 2017, because, like, when I think of that tournament, I don't think about HBox winning at all. Like, I just think about how it felt to see Flip beat Armada. Like, I just remembered that feeling. And I think that, like, you know, like, maybe the tournament didn't end in the most exciting fashion. Yeah. But like, that was such a big deal to me, like, seeing that. Like, that's definitely what I remember from that. But
it's just, I think that there's this weird part of tournaments where, because they are a narrative, like, there's a structure that the end should be the most exciting part. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the denouement. But there's a lot of tournaments that I really, really like all the matches prior to top 8 or something like that, that just kind of had really boring top 8s. Or like grand finals I didn't like when I liked everything else. So I do think that's just like a part of, like, we basically, if we like a tournament, we base it on grand finals, I think, which is kind of an odd thing.
Yeah, I think it's just like, it's kind of like with anything that you remember the beginning and end of something more than necessarily the middle.
Yeah.
All right.
Just like I remember all of round 1. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, that's not.
Go on. Sorry.
I think we gotta close the show with the most important topic of all.
Are we not doing Nearly in 2019?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna end it by talking about the best Smash Twitter of 2018. Now we got a lot of contenders over here, and we gotta sort out all of them before we end the show.
Wait,
So,
do you have a list for us to go through?
No, I had a list for myself.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, so you came prepared and we didn't even get to know about this?
So I mean, I could read it out loud if you guys want. It'll be embarrassing. You guys will see my Twitter tastes.
It's just your name over and over again.
No.
It's just a little list of Marth players with him at the top.
I'm gonna tell you something. I know I have Marth main bias. Never in my life would I say that a Marth main Twitter on average would be anywhere close to good.
All right.
Although there are 2 Marth players on my list, but that's not because they're Marth players. I had Webbs, Leffen, Laudandus, Bones, Glock in my Toyota, Westballs, Calvar, and Swiftbase, and Fiction. My list.
What a weird list.
That's a lot. That's a big list.
You're an odd man.
I've been thinking about this a lot, dude. This is really sort of this whole podcast is kind of a lead-in just to talk about Twitter. If you haven't noticed.
From the beginning, we made 30 episodes, so we could just start talking about Twitter on a bigger platform.
I was waiting for this one moment at the end of the year.
Are you going to say anything about that, or are you just going to listen?
I was waiting to hear you. I was waiting to hear your judgments before I could give mine because I felt very I already exposed a lot of myself, my taste in Twitter. So I needed to gain some kind of validation or encouragement from other people. But I guess I'm not getting that.
I mean, I'm never going to say Webbs anything bad about Webbs. Also, Swiftbase #SSBM.
Mm-hmm.
Is that's the entrance fee right there. That's worth it. That's worth the price of admission to just see #SSBM.
I think the fact that he's so on brand with that and no matter what, and that he maintains it after so long that's
stuff
won me over.
Yeah, it's hey, Daytona by Pusha T is really great. #SSBM stuff like that. It's great. And then I blanked on everyone else on your list except for Friction.
Glock in my Toyota.
Yeah, I think Glock in my Toyota has the most underrated Twitter of 2018. Glock in my Toyota, if you guys aren't familiar with him, is a ranked Game & Watch player from New Hampshire. Notoriously beat Captain Crunch and I think Frenzy.
He's got a set win on Calvar this year at a local.
Yeah, he does. He's a very good player.
So are we going back to talking about unranked players? The Melee Stats Classic.
We're even talking about unranked players. We're talking about Twitter. Jesus.
Unranked players on Twitter.
Well, Ovenn, who's your pick for best Twitter then?
Edwin Budding, obviously.
That doesn't. Oh wait, I think you meant Today in Smash.
Oh my god.
Today I should have said Today in Smash.
Today in Smash. The now defunct Twitter. Curiously, Edwin, you have almost the same number of followers.
Almost.
A little less than Today in Smash used to have.
Oh, ouch. That hurt. It's still around. We haven't lost everyone yet.
Mm-hmm.
People like me enough to stick by.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Watch, after the show, I'm going to see a drop by 300 something.
Yeah, people were like, wait a second. I didn't even know this until now. They're looking. Yeah.
I mean, I think the couple that I enjoyed the most over the course of the year are probably I really like Ghetto War Machine's Twitter. I think his is I don't know. I find his stuff entertaining. Maybe I don't follow him, so it just pops up on my timeline, and everything that pops on my timeline from him is stuff I like. So the same thing for Bunk is I like every tweet from Bunk that I see, but I don't follow him. So it's just oh, am I just seeing the good content? And then shoutouts to Mikey SSBM from Washington. I love his Twitter. I think I like almost every single tweet he puts out, and he's just he just comes with funny stuff. So those are like my two like niche picks, and like something more mainstream might be like Leffen's. You know, even if he like complains about a lot of stuff, I think Leffen has his Twitter has a lot of impact across communities and stuff, and I enjoy following him.
That's actually a good, like the enjoyability and outreach. In fact, you might have convinced me there. What'd you say?
Leffen has a very good Twitter.
Did you say none?
I said Leffen.
Oh, I thought you said none for a second. I was like, wait, what's wrong?
Leffen uses it for the power of good. Remember when GTX seeding came out and Mango said, "This sucks," and then Leffen tweeted about it. Speaks a lot of truth. I mean, we're joking if any of us, like, if we think that we can get off this podcast without saying Ambi. Like, we're going to get berated if we don't say him.
I love Ambi's Twitter. It's great.
Ambi's is good, but it's just quips. There's nothing else. It's just quips.
What do you want him to talk about, like, mediate on death or something?
Look, I'm just upset that Ambi roasted me earlier today.
Hey, with a guy like that, it happens all the time. You just gotta take it where it comes.
Yeah, there's some Marth player on Twitter was talking about how the only melee players that do well when they go to Ultimate are very good Marth mains. And I was like, oh, this guy doesn't speak for Marth mains, thinking it was just an innocuous or like just a normal comment. Ambi was like, no, he was talking about good Marth players. I struggled so hard to come up with a comeback, but I couldn't do it. This is what happens when you trust people, guys. Your heart's gonna get broken.
Jesus.
I think
that's the end of the show right there.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to talk about the future of Melee for a bit, but maybe we can.
It's very fitting that we are not talking about the future of Melee.
Maybe we can talk about that in a Patron-sode thing. Speaking of which, I would like to thank the Melee Stats patrons who I am going to get on the screen right now before we close the show off. So, this page is taking so long. Wait, I have to log in?
So many things to load. There's so many names on here.
I had to log in. I thought I was automatically... Oh my god.
Don't you know them off the top of your head?
Dude, it's been a while since I've been on the show. I'm just a little rusty. There's like 16 of them. I'll remember.
God, you have a bracket.
So long. I have a what?
You could have a bracket if there's 16 of them.
Hey, good idea. Melee Stats patron. I wonder who would win out of them. Let me list out the names of the members of the Melee Stats patron bracket. Alec Vucinic, Carlos Robles, David Shearer, Etost, Greg Schaefer, Jack Harmoning, Jason Kelly, JM, Joey Danowitz, Jorgen Stenhammer, Matthew Biddle, Ozen Breton, Potato, Stock Money, Ted Darkside, and Videotape. Thank you guys so much for your support. It's been an awesome 2018. We hope to have a really good 2019 also. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.